Nelson, Chief Strategist for Bellray Asset Management. David, it's the last thing that we need, and it seems to me there's a catch-22. If the prices at the pump go up and other prices go up, you already can't afford to buy what you were buying because you have to pay for fuel. Then you also can't afford it because the prices of food and other essentials are higher. What kind of money will come into the economy? Where does the economy go from here?
You know, the 11% figure, Jamie, it's a concern because it's up over 40% in the last decade. You know, you pull into the pump, you see that $4 headline figure, and it's disconcerting. It makes you think about your next purchase. Could it cause a recession? Sure it could. And economists are already starting to ratchet down GDP numbers.
Well, let's look back. We had a pretty promising December and January. I went back to take a look, and I'm not being cute here, but it seems like consumer spending is running out of gas. No joke, there does appear to be a connection. How do we get people to put more of their money into the economy so that we can have economic growth?
It's tough, you know, and people are very concerned about inflation, but, you know, we shouldn't be surprised by this. Inflation is exactly what the Fed wanted. You know, if you think back to 2008, Bernanke's biggest concern, it wasn't inflation, it wasn't even unemployment. His biggest concern was deflation and the devastating effects of say, a 1930s-style depression. So I'm not surprised, but it does appear that we are losing some steam here, and the price shock it's disconcerting.
I've also seen reports that economic growth from January to March, according to estimates of economists, has dropped from roughly 3% to as low as 1.5%. What sort of impact will that have on our recovery at this time?
Well, you know, to be frank, you know, the recovery has always been fragile. We have employment is really crawling along in the right direction. So it certainly doesn't help. And we know the reason for the price shock this time. It was certainly the result of the civil war raging in the Middle East. We got an immediate $10 spike in oil, and that throws economists into a tizzy, and it really takes your plans and throws them out the window. But I'll give you another culprit here. It isn't even being focused on. It's not even something you're going to read in the newspaper. The advent of exchange-traded funds that track commodity indexes and commodities like oil, gasoline, and even food have investors piling on into the price momentum, and it adds fuel to an already raging fire. And if you think of it this way, you're an investor, you invest in a commodity exchange-traded fund. That fund has to go out, buy the physical commodity, and store it. It adds to the price pressure. So the next time you pull into the pump, realize that as an investor, you may actually be part of that problem.
So are you saying they're driving prices up?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What can we do about it, David? Because people are already struggling. And let me add one element to that, the president's discussion of raising taxes.
You put all that together, and it's obviously, it's not a good mix. It's certainly not a good equation. I don't have a clear-cut answer, and obviously the Fed, they're walking a very, very fine line. They're trying to keep this recovery alive as best they can. It's tepid at best, but at the same time, they see that inflation is out there lurking. So it's a very tough issue.
Can I just ask you, David, before we go, do you think they realize that it's that fragile?
I'm sorry, say again?
Yes or no, do you think that they realize that it's that fragile?
Oh, I think they're absolutely certain it's that fragile,
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, David Nelson. Always
Thank
good
you.
to talk to you. Take care.